Hola and welcome to ProSpanish. We're going to dive straight in. If you're one of our more advanced subscribers, then you may want to skip straight forward to the time frame that comes up on the screen now. Or of course you may want to stick with us for the extra practice. Two short phrases to begin with. These are our springboard. Don't worry if you don't see the immediate relevance for you. Es importante and es un problema. Es is it's or it is. So you can probably guess that es importante is it's important. Es un problema is it's a problem. Es un problema. And we'll just put es by itself as well, because we're going to use that later. So it's. And if you're new to ProSpanish, it's important to note that you don't need to try to remember any of this. That will just happen automatically with the process. Okay, second column, we've got para mí and para ti. So para mí and para ti. And that's for me, para mí, for me. And para ti, for you. So para mí, for me, para ti, for you. And under that we'll have para Pablo. I think we can guess that that is for Pablo. And we'll have para Carmen, for Carmen. Okay, so para mí, para ti, for me, for you. Para Pablo, for Pablo. Para Carmen, for Carmen. Now let's say I put these two parts together and said, es un problema para mí. Es un problema para mí. What am I saying? It's a problem for me. How would you say it's a problem for Pablo? Es un problema para Pablo. Es un problema para Pablo. And how about it's for me? It's for me. So maybe you're being served something and something comes out and you say, yeah, it's for me. Es para mí. Es para mí. And I should have mentioned earlier that, again, if you're new to ProSpanish, then if I ask you to create a sentence, a question, then make sure you give yourself some thinking time. So you might need to pause the video for that. So es para mí, it's for me. Now, es is it's, but we can easily change it to a question just by changing the tone of our voice. So we can change it to is it? Is it? So listen to these two. Es para mí. It's for me. Es para mí. It's for me. Es para mí? Is it for me? Es para mí? Is it for me? So we just change the tone of our voice for a question. So the statement and the question, the words are exactly the same, we just change the tone of our voice. So how would we say, is it important? If it was a statement, es importante. Es importante. Is it important? Es importante. Es importante. So just a rising tone at the end. And how would you ask the question? Is it a problem for you? And we'll go with a different voice this time.
¿Es un problema para ti? ¿Es un problema para ti?
Okay, let's go back to our first column. And we're going to put in tengo algo. Tengo algo. Tengo algo. I have or I've got something. So tengo, I have. Tengo algo. I have something. And as mentioned earlier, you don't need to try to remember all this. So tengo algo. I have something. What do you think it means if I say tengo algo importante? Tengo algo importante. What would that be? I have something important. I have something important. And if we went back to our it's, our es, we could say es algo importante. What would that mean? Es algo importante. It's something important. We could also say es algo urgente. What would that be? Es algo urgente. It's something urgent. It's something urgent. But anyway, back to where we were. Tengo algo importante. I have something important. How would we say, I've got something important for you? Tengo algo importante para ti. Tengo algo importante para ti. Okay, let's add tienes. Tienes. Now, tienes is you have. Tienes. So we could say tienes algo. You have. What would it mean if I said tienes algo para mí? You have something for me. But as we saw with it's and the question is it, we can change you have to a question. Do you have? You have in a question just by changing the tone of our voice, nothing else. So tienes is you have, but also do you have? So tienes algo para mí. You've got something for me. ¿Tienes algo para mí? Do you have something for me? Or you have something for me? The question. What do you think it means if I say, ¿Tienes algo importante? You have something important. You've got something important. And what about if I changed the intonation? ¿Tienes algo importante? ¿Tienes algo importante? Slight rise at the end there. Changes it to, do you have something important? Have you got something important? And we're just going to add in one short word now. No. No. So for everything here, we can just change it to a negative by starting with no. It's important. Es importante. It's not important. No es importante. What does it mean if I said, no es para ti? No es para ti. It's not for you. It's not for you. And before we continue, it's worth mentioning that what we have here is a base, and this is actually where we start the ProSpanish course from, but you can already see how quickly we can branch out from this, how we can change es importante to es urgente, it's urgent, or es interesante, it's interesting. We can go from es importante, it's important. We can go es posible, it's possible, es posible, to the question, es posible? And we could include algo and say, ¿es posible reservar algo? ¿Es posible reservar algo? Is it possible to reserve, to book something? So you can see just how quickly this network of language is going to grow at a very exponential rate. Okay, in this next brief phase, listen to the phrases repeated twice, look at the grid, and just try to work out what the meaning is. Es importante para Carmen. Es importante para Carmen. It's important for Carmen. Tengo algo importante para ti. Tengo algo importante para ti. I've got something important for you. ¿Es un problema para ti? ¿Es un problema para ti? Is it a problem for you? No es un problema para Pablo. No es un problema para Pablo. It's not a problem for Pablo. ¿Tienes algo importante para mí? ¿Tienes algo importante para mí? You've got something important for me. ¿Tienes algo para mí? ¿Tienes algo para mí? Have you got something for me? And a couple of slight variations on the table. No es para Pablo, es para Carmen. No es para Pablo, es para Carmen. It's not for Pablo, it's for Carmen. Es un problema. Tengo algo urgente para Carmen. Es un problema. Tengo algo urgente para Carmen. It's a problem. I've got something urgent for Carmen. We'll just take a quick pause there while I mention our very popular Levels 1 to 6 course. This takes the complete beginner or a near beginner right up to a conversational level of Spanish in a series of very easy to follow steps. All the lessons on this YouTube channel are supplementary, whereas the core levels 1 to 6 is very much a step-by-step program delivered by the same teacher as all the other videos on the ProSpanish YouTube channel. And while the style is very similar to what you'll be used to from these videos on the channel, the key difference is that every lesson carefully builds on the previous lessons so that you can really feel that progress of going from very little or no Spanish up to a level where you can confidently hold a conversation in Spanish. So again, that's available exclusively from prospanish.co.uk. Okay, next you can see we have the Spanish and we have the English, and we have gaps for both. So we're going to work out the missing Spanish and English words. Okay, so to begin with our first one, the first gap is es. It's important. Es importante. And the next gap is para, for para mí. So our phrase is es importante para mí. And the English gap that's missing would be it's important for me. Number 2. The first gap that's missing, so for is it, is es. Es un. Is it a, the next gap, problema. So we've got, is it a problem? Es un problema para ti. Es un problema para ti. And the English gap that's missing, is it a problem for you? Para ti, for you. And our third one coming up. And by the way, you might be thinking, this is quite easy, but it's supposed to be. It's a technique called errorless learning, and it works because we don't want to make mistakes at this stage. What we want is exposure, and plenty of it, and opportunities to retrieve what you're learning. Okay, so on to the third one. So our first gap would be tengo. I have. Tengo algo interesante. I've got something interesting. The next gap, para Pablo. Tengo algo interesante para Pablo. So the gap in English is I have something, because it's the translation of algo. I have something interesting for Pablo. The fourth one, so we're looking for, the first gap is do you have? So tienes ¿Tienes algo para? Do you have something for me? For me. ¿Tienes algo para mí? Do you have something? And the gap there is for me. ¿Tienes algo para mí? And on to our final one. So, ¿es posible comer? And our gap is algo. ¿Es posible comer algo? Is it possible to eat something? So looking at the gap that's missing, is it possible? Posible, possible. Is it possible to eat something? Okay, and looking at those very same sentences, but now without the support, let's quickly go through them. So number one, it's important for me is es importante para mí. Number two, so how do we say, is it a problem for you? ¿Es un problema para ti? ¿Es un problema para ti? Is it a problem for you? And the third one, I have something interesting for Pablo, would be tengo algo interesante para Pablo. Tengo algo interesante para Pablo. And the fourth one, do you have something for me? ¿Tienes algo para mí? ¿Tienes algo para mí? And the fifth one, is it possible to eat something? So a useful one if you're not sure if a restaurant is serving. ¿Es posible comer algo? ¿Es posible comer algo? Is it possible to eat something? So exactly the same as the statement, it is possible to eat something, but a rise in intonation at the end to show it's a question. Okay, and back to our original grid. If at all possible, try to say these phrases without looking at the grid, but of course you can if you need to for the extra support. Okay. It's a problem for Carmen. What's that? Es un problema para Carmen. Es un problema para Carmen. Is it a problem for you? ¿Es un problema para ti? ¿Es un problema para ti? I have something important for you. Tengo algo importante para ti. Tengo algo importante para ti. It's not for me. No es para mí. No es para mí. Have you got something for me? ¿Tienes algo para mí? ¿Tienes algo para mí? You've got something for Carmen. ¿Tienes algo para Carmen? ¿Tienes algo para Carmen? It's not possible. No es posible. No es posible. Is it possible? ¿Es posible? ¿Es posible? So you should be able to see from this just how quickly you can progress in Spanish with the right course. And another reminder that the levels 1 to 6 course is available from prospanish.co.uk. Bien, vamos a empezar con unas frases bastante fáciles. No tengo mucho dinero. I don't have much money. Muy fácil. Very easy. No tengo mucho dinero. I don't have much money. Todavía me encuentro mal. Todavía me encuentro mal. I still feel bad or I still feel ill. Es peligroso. Es peligroso. Muy fácil. Es peligroso. It's dangerous. ¿Vale? Ahora la primera parte de la frase. La primera parte, muy fácil también. Lo haré. Lo haré. I'll do it. Lo haré. Y también lo intentaré. Lo intentaré, más literalmente, es I'll try it. I'll try it. Pero también podemos decir en inglés I'll give it a go. Entonces, lo intentaré, I'll try it, o I'll give it a go. Lo intentaré. Y ahora en medio tenemos una palabrita, aunque. Y a lo mejor habrás aprendido que aunque es although. Aunque, although. Pero ahora, en esta lección, va a ser even though. Even though. Aunque, even though. Entonces, ¿cómo podemos decir I'll do it even though it's dangerous? Lo haré aunque es peligroso. Lo haré aunque es peligroso. ¿Y cómo sería? I'll give it a go even though I still feel ill. Lo intentaré aunque todavía me encuentro mal. Lo haré. No, lo intentaré aunque todavía me encuentro mal. Bien, de momento bastante fácil. Aunque es although, o aquí ahora even though, aunque even though, también significa even if. Even if. Aunque, even if. Entonces, ¿cómo podemos decir I'll do it even if it's dangerous? Lo haré aunque... Y ahora mismo hay que parar porque no tenemos la frase adecuada. Porque cuando aunque significa even if, necesitamos el subjuntivo. Entonces, aunque, cuando significa even if, necesitamos el subjuntivo. No voy a pasar mucho tiempo hablando de la forma del subjuntivo. Entonces, no tengo en subjuntivo es no tenga. No tenga. Entonces, no tenga mucho dinero es la frase en la forma subjuntiva. Todavía me encuentro mal. I still feel ill. En subjuntivo es todavía me encuentre mal. Todavía me encuentre mal. Y es peligroso. El verbo ser es más irregular y entonces es sea peligroso. Sea peligroso. Is dangerous, it's dangerous en subjuntivo. Sea, it's o is en subjuntivo. Vale, entonces, aunque cuando es even though, utilizamos el indicativo como no tengo, o me encuentro, o es. Pero cuando el significado es even if, entonces hace falta el subjuntivo. Vale, vamos a practicar. I'll give it a go, even if it's dangerous. Lo intentaré, aunque sea peligroso. Lo intentaré, aunque sea peligroso. I'll do it, even if I haven't got much money. Lo haré, aunque no tenga mucho dinero. Lo haré, aunque no tenga mucho dinero. I'll give it a go, even though it's dangerous. Lo intentaré, aunque es peligroso. Lo intentaré, aunque es peligroso. I'll do it, even if I still feel ill. Lo haré, aunque todavía me encuentre mal. Lo haré, aunque todavía me encuentre mal. I'll do it, even if it's not dangerous. Lo haré, aunque no sea peligroso. Lo haré, aunque no sea peligroso. I won't do it, even though I've got a lot of money. No lo haré, aunque tengo mucho dinero. No lo haré, aunque tengo mucho dinero. I won't do it, even if I feel well. No lo haré, aunque me encuentre bien. No lo haré, aunque me encuentre bien. Okay, I'll do a quick recap in English. This was a little experiment to see what it was like for you having the lesson delivered in Spanish. Let me know what you think in the comments. Okay, so what we saw was that when aunque, so most commonly used for although, but it also means even though, aunque, even though. And when it means this, we just use the normal indicative. So, no tengo mucho dinero. Todavía me encuentro mal. Es peligroso. But when aunque means even if, then it has to be followed by the subjunctive. So, no tenga, me encuentre, and sea. So, I'll do it even if it's dangerous. Lo haré aunque sea peligroso. So when it's even if, it needs to be followed by the subjunctive. And that concludes today's ProSpanish lesson. As mentioned earlier, if you're looking to become a confident and a competent speaker of Spanish, head over to prospanish.co.uk so that you can download the full levels 1 to